On stream, I played the popular Lava Clone deck to get a better understanding of how to use it and most importantly, how to win with this deck. In this video, we'll be going over the deck, the strategy behind the deck, what to do in your opening hand, and at the end I have some tips and tricks that you may be able to use to win some of your first games. I'm not going to do that. What up, what up, what up? The deck that I will be talking to you guys today about is this deck beside me, and it is the Lava Clone deck. This is the most traditionally used Lava Clone deck, and it has a 3.6 average elixir cost, and it is very, very strong. It's a very, very powerful deck. The primary win condition in this deck is the clone spell, and it synergizes very, very well with this deck, but it synergizes in very different ways with the cards, and the value of the clone spell is different depending on what card you clone. For example, the Lumberjack and the Lava Hound are very, very powerful cards, but a lot of their value comes from their after death effects, and these after death effects are doubled once cloned. Other units in the deck are swarm units, like the bats and the Skarmy. A lot of their value comes from very low health units, but there's just large quantities of them, and if you clone them, they double in size, and it could just be very overwhelming for the opponent if they don't have a spell in hand or if they can't deal with them. And the last type of unit in this deck are more stickier units. These are the baby dragon and the flying machine, and they get a lot of value even if they are not cloned. They're able to stay on the battlefield for a long time. You can use them on offense, you can use them on defense, and eventually they will get cloned or could get cloned, and they get additional value from the clone. So it's time for the changes. What can you change in this deck if you want to spice it up yourself, if you want to maybe make something different in this deck? Well, I got the facts. I got the facts with a KXT. I don't know how to spell facts. There are a couple of cards in this deck that I don't believe should be changed, and you can't really change. These cards include the Lava Hound. I probably wouldn't touch it. It's the Lava Clone deck. You can't touch the Lava Hound and the clone spell. Those cards are staple. This is a Lava Clone deck, so those cards, they're not going anywhere. Another card that I would not get rid of is the Lumberjack. The Lumberjack, the value that the Lumberjack brings to this deck is it's exponential. It is so powerful. The rage spell gets so much value, and not only that, but even the clone rage spell gets so much value in this deck. You could potentially change it with a mini P.E.K.K.A. I don't even want to bring that up. You could. Should you? I wouldn't. And another card that I probably wouldn't change is the bats. The bats are very good at baiting out spells, and they're a very cheap card that you can use to cycle to other cards. It's a very, very powerful card in this deck. It's only a common rarity card. I wouldn't touch it. I wouldn't touch it. Those are the four cards I wouldn't touch. I wouldn't touch the Lava Hound. I wouldn't touch the Clone. I wouldn't touch the Lumberjack, and I wouldn't touch the Bats. I think those cards are so powerful in this deck, and they're I think they're staples. Ding, staple. I can't do a staple sound. So one of the cards that you can change in this deck is the Snowball. What can you change it for? Well, you can change it for pretty much any spell. You can change it for the Zap, you can change it for the arrows, you can change it for the Fireball, and you can also change it for the Poison. Which is better? It's hard to say. A lot of it depends on matchup. I like the smaller spells better. I like the Zap, the Snowball, and the arrows a little bit better, but I've seen the Fireball and the Poison work very, very successfully as well. Another card that you can change is the Skarmy. The Skarmy can be changed for guards, which gets a lot of value with the clone because the guard's shield is also cloned, so basically the clones have to get hit twice. Very, very powerful. Also, I've seen people use the Furnace, which is really good. It helps with the defense of this deck. That's one of the areas that this deck maybe slacks on a little bit, especially in the early game, which the Furnace can help out a lot. Another addition to this deck, or another addition instead of the Skarmy, could be the Goblin Gang. Goblin Gang's very good. It's also a common card, so if you have it leveled up, you can easily slot it in for this epic card. Makes it a little more free to play, and it works well. It's good. Another change that you can make in this deck is the Baby Dragon. You can change it for the Mega Minion to make it a little more free-to-play friendly, this deck. You can change it for the Inferno Dragon, which is good because you can use the Inferno Dragon to maybe bait out some spells, which synergizes very well with the Clone. And the last card maybe could be the E-Dragon. E-Dragon, it's a little more expensive, but still gets a lot of value from the Clone spell, it gets a lot of value from the Rage, and it also is very, very good on defense, which is an aspect of this deck that it struggles with. And all three of these cards could also be changed for the Flying Machine. It will change the deck, but I think all of these will work. So have fun with them, try them out, and let me know in the comments which one worked the best, because I'm curious. Help the people out. Help everybody. ELE, everybody love everybody. So the goal for this deck is very, very simple, and it is to swallow your opponent alive. All you need to win with this deck is one good clone. If you get one good clone spell off and your opponent cannot deal with it, it can just be overwhelming for your opponent and you could win straight up. But to get this perfect clone, you have to be patient. You have to wait. You have to see what cards your opponent has that counter the clone and wait till he uses these cards. And until then, don't use your clone. Be very patient with it because all you need is one good clone and you will win this game. You will win every game. You will swallow your opponent alive. So what do you do in your opening hand? How do you start off a game? Well, you should wait. You should be very, very patient. You shouldn't even play a card. Let your opponent play the first card and wait till double elixir to even play your first card. If you don't want to wait though, you can play any card at the back really. The flying machine, the baby dragon, the lumberjack, the bats. Worst case scenario, you can snowball the princess tower. But I would say to wait. Waiting is your best bet. This deck excels in double elixir. Just let your opponent go first. Just hang out, chill. Grab a slushie or something. Just take it easy. Just sit back, relax, and enjoy the first 2 minutes of the game. It's time for the Cash's tip time. Boom, boom, boom. Doo, doo, doo. The first tip I have for you guys today is to keep your units close. A lot of the value of this deck comes from the clone spell, and the clone spell is not that big. It's only a 3-tile radius. So keeping your units close to make sure you get the most value out of your clone spells is key to victory. I missed a lot of my clone spells because I separated a lot of my units just so I didn't want to give my opponent spell value. But it's okay to give your opponent spell value. Baiting out spells, not giving them too much value, but baiting out spells is kind of what you want to do in this deck. So keeping your units close, making sure you can get that value with the clone is key to victory. It's the key to victory. It's a key. The second cash tip I have for you guys is that it's okay to take some tower damage to build a big push for yourself. Even if you lose a tower, it's okay. As long as you can take your opponent's tower and maybe even deal some good damage to their opponent's king tower, it is worth it, and I definitely recommend doing so. It's a beatdown deck, so building those big pushes are key to success. The third cash tip I have for you guys is to use your lumberjack late. And what I mean by this is if you already have a push going down, you have a lot of units and you don't have enough elixir for the lumberjack, wait till you have enough elixir and still use the lumberjack. Even though it's late to the party, it's still going to get a lot of value. It's very annoying for your opponent to deal with on defense. It's a very good offensive threat. It can deal with your opponent's units. It can get on tower. And even if your opponent deals with it very cleanly, the value it gets from the rage spell, the value your units get from the rage spell, it is very powerful. It's very annoying for your opponent to deal with. And trust me, it will work. I guarantee it will work. It's very good. I hate it. Do it. Do it. The fourth cash tip I have for you guys is to use defensive / early clones. It works very well against beatdown decks. If you're playing Golem, if you're playing against Giant, even if you're playing against Royal Giant, using this early clone where you're able to deal with your opponent's push very quickly, very efficiently, and then having a very threatening counter push of your own, if used correctly, can be the difference between winning and losing a game. It's very powerful. It's a very powerful tool. Clone, just have fun with it. Offensive clones, it's not the only way. Defensive clones are the way. It's the way. Do you know the way? I am the way. Defensive clones are the way. It's powerful. Trust me. The fifth cash tip I have for you guys is the Baby Dragon Lumberjack combo. And if you thought the Big Mac combo at McDonald's was good, you forget about it. It's all about the Lumberjack Baby Dragon combo. It's very powerful. It's very annoying for your opponent to deal with, especially in early game if they overcommit, because if the Lumberjack or the Baby Dragon get on tower, especially if the Baby Dragon's raged up, it gets a lot of hits, a lot of value, and it's a really good way to start a game. Using this in early game is very impactful. And it's a very good push. And the sixth tip I have for you guys today is to use your bats. The bats are very good in this deck. They're hugemoso. That's Spanish for huge. It's not Spanish for huge. But anyways, the bats are very important in this deck. They're very good to bait out your opponent's spells so you can make sure you get value from your clone. So example, if you have that Lava Hound going down the lane with that Baby Dragon or Flying Machine, using those bats first are very annoying for your opponent to deal with. And they will usually use a small spell like a zap, a snowball, or even arrows to deal with these bats. And then after that, that's when you clone. Very powerful. card, very, very cheap unit, very, very strong unit. So make sure you use the bats. Bats are important, not the bats. And the next cash tip I have for you guys is to protect your flying machine. The flying machine, it's very, very powerful. It gets a lot of value, but it only gets value if it's alive. So protecting it on defense and also supporting it on offense, playing the Lumberjack, playing the Baby Dragon, even playing just the Skarmy or the Bats. If the flying machine gets on tower, every additional hit it gets on, every additional shot it gets is value in the bank. Cha-ching! Defend your flying machine. Promise me, defend it. The next tip I have for you guys is another flying machine tip, and it's the capability of defending the opposite lane with the flying machine. It has a long range where you can defend. Let's say you have a push going on the right side with a Lava Hound, and your opponent goes hard on the left side. Well, you can play your flying machine kind of in the middle, but on the right side. It can defend that left side lane and still do a counter push on the right side with all your other units. So you have a very big push. You defend the left side. It's a Hakuna Matata. It's no worries for the rest of your days. You got the flying machine here. You're good. You're good to go. The next tip I have for you guys is that you don't have to clone the Lava Hound. Just because it's called a Lava Clone deck doesn't mean you have to clone the Lava aspect of the deck. You can get a lot of value by just cloning other cards, the Baby Dragon, the Lumberjack, the Bats, the Skarmy. Whenever you get a chance for a good clone, especially if your opponent doesn't have the counters to the clone in cycle, use it, utilize it. It will be powerful, and you can take a lot of towers doing so. Trust me, I'm a doctor. 9 out of 10 doctors recommend not cloning Lava Hound. I don't know. The last cash tip I have for you guys is, I've said it before, is be patient. Be patient with the clone. In this matchup I have here, I hope it's here. I am the editor, so I'll edit it here. This match right here, I was actually in a mirror matchup, and what my opponent did wrong was he did his clone too early. He wasn't patient, and he definitely didn't watch this video. Well, because this video wasn't up now. But if he did watch this video, he wouldn't make this mistake. Be patient. What he did was he used his clone too early. He just used it too early. I was, on the other hand, was like, you know what? I'm a samurai. I'm gonna be patient. I'm gonna wait to use my clone. And I was able to not only defend his clone very well, but he didn't have any way to defend my clone and my cloned units, and I swallowed him. I won the game because of that. I probably would have won the game anyways, but still, being patient with the clone is key to success in this deck. And it's finito. It's done. It's over. That's all the tips I have. I do have more tips, but I'm not telling you. No, that's all the tips I have. And I hope you guys use these tips and try this deck out. It's a very powerful deck, and it's a very fun deck. It's a very cheeky deck. It's a very dirty deck. So if you use this deck, promise me that you will have not only Purell close by, but also after every game, wash your hands with soap and water. Make sure it's clean. The spot that most people miss is right there. So you gotta make sure, get everywhere. Just wash your hands after every game. Promise me, because I guarantee you will be dirty playing this deck. And to finish off this starter guide, I want to give this deck. Is this deck trash or is it cash? Is it cash or trash? What is this deck? What am I gonna get? I'm gonna give this deck as cash. This deck is just straight. This deck is cash. This deck is absolute money in the bank. It's very powerful, and it's very annoying to play again. So yeah, try it out. I definitely recommend it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you guys did enjoy this video, check out my other videos in the future. Subscribe, like, all that nonsense. Hope you guys do it. Hope you guys enjoy. Hope you guys have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you guys in the future. Yo, deuces. This deck is good. This deck is too good. Supercell, get rid of this deck.